Hello students, let us now discuss something about nutrition. In the previous lectures we have discussed what nutrition is, what are the different, we have discussed about the alimentary canal in detail. Now we'll discuss about the digestive process. We'll discuss about the digestive process, how and where the digestion takes place, what are the enzymes which are responsible for digestion and which enzyme is activated, how. To begin with, buccal cavity, what we are discussing is the process of digestion, how and where the digestion takes place. In buccal cavity, as we have discussed, or as you all know, the enzymes which are present are, the enzyme which is present is the salivary amylase. Enzyme present is the salivary amylase. This salivary amylase is also called as the ptyalin enzyme. Now, what is the function of this enzyme? Function of the enzyme is, this enzyme acts on cooked starch. It works on cooked starch and converts it into maltose, right? This salivary amylase, maltose, it converts cooked starch into maltose. And what does maltose comprises of? The maltose comprises of two molecules of glucose, that is glucose plus glucose. This is maltose. So what is digested in the mouth? The cooked starch is converted into maltose by this salivary amylase. Now next is esophagus. As we all know and we have discussed in the previous lectures also, no digestion takes place in esophagus. No digestion takes place in esophagus. Now from the esophagus, there is entry of the bolus into the stomach. The food now enters into the stomach. In stomach, we have already discussed the enzymes which are secreted are prorenin and pepsinogen. This prorenin and pepsinogen are secreted in inactive form. This prorenin and pepsinogen are in inactive form. They are converted into its active form. How? Like this prorenin is converted into renin and pepsinogen is converted to pepsin. This is converted to pepsin. And who is responsible for the conversion of this inactive form to active form? This is the HCl. The hydrochloric acid is responsible for the conversion of prorenin to renin. This renin and pepsin both are active forms. Now, what does they do? This pepsin is responsible for the digestion of proteins. What does the pepsin do? It acts on proteins and convert proteins into peptones. And who is responsible for this digestion conversion? It is pepsin. Now, what is the function of renin? It converts milk casein to paracasinate. This is the function of renin. So renin helps in curdling of milk. Renin helps in curdling of milk in infants and old aged people. Now, next, the food enters into small intestine. Food enters into small intestine. As we have already discussed, this small intestine is divided into duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. Okay, duodenum is responsible for maximum digestion. Maximum digestion takes place in duodenum. In jejunum, there is maximum absorption, whereas in ileum, digestion is completed. Digestion is completed in ileum. Now, how does the digestion takes place? Firstly, let's discuss duodenum. What happens in duodenum is duodenum receives the secretion from pancreas as well as the liver. It receives secretions from pancreas and liver. Now, what does pancreas secrete? Pancreas releases trypsinogen and chymotrypsinogen. This trypsinogen and chymotrypsinogen are again in inactive form, right? And the secretions from the liver are bile juice. Now, this trypsinogen and chymotrypsinogen are converted into its active form by the secretions which are called as enterokinase. Enterokinase, it is an enzyme secreted by duodenum, right? And what does it do? It converts trypsinogen into trypsin, which is the active form, right? Enterokinase. Now, this trypsin further converts chymotrypsinogen into chymotrypsin. This is again its active form. The trypsin and chymotrypsin are responsible for digestion of proteins. They convert these proteins into amino acids and peptones also into amino acids. Now, the other secretions of the small intestine comprises of succus entericus. Succus entericus, it consists of different types of enzymes like lipase, amylase, peptidase, maltase, lactase, etc. And they all are responsible for digestion of different things. Like lipase is for the absorption of fat. Lipase is responsible for absorption of fat. Amylase is responsible for digestion of starch. Peptidase is responsible for digestion of proteins. Maltase is responsible for digestion of maltose. Likewise, lactase is responsible for the digestion of lactose and various others. Then the food enters into the ileum where the digestion is finished, Then it enters into the long intestine, large intestine. In large intestine, what happens in large intestine is there is maximum absorption of water. Now, we have discussed earlier the large intestine is divided into cecum, colon and rectum, right? And the cecum comprises of the veriform appendix. It is the cecum where vermiform appendix is present, which is considered as to be vestigial in case of human beings. And also remember, students, there is a star point here. This cecum is also called as the blind spot. This cecum is also called as the blind spot. Why it is called as a blind spot? Because no blood vessels are present here, right? Then after this there is colon and rectum, and through rectum the undigested food enters into the anus, through which it is thrown out of the body. And this is all about the digestion. There are few knowledge boosters which I would like to share with you. They are duct of parotid gland is called as Stenson's duct, and also this parotid gland is the largest salivary gland, right? Then duct of submandibular gland is called as Wotton's duct. It is called as Wotton's duct, and this submandibular gland produces maximum amount of saliva. Then the duct of sublingual gland is duct of ravenous, and this sublingual gland is the smallest salivary gland. Now, food plus saliva, that means food mixed with saliva, is called as bolus. It is the bolus which enters into the esophagus. Now, the bolus plus the HCl is called as chyme, right? The chyme enters into the duodenum. The acidity of the chyme is neutralized by bicarbonate ions produced by duodenum. The food plus saliva is bolus plus HCl is chyme. Acidity of the chyme is neutralized by bicarbonate ions, which is produced by the duodenum. Now, the next point which I would like to discuss with you is the movement of food in the esophagus is purely peristaltic. It is purely peristaltic movement. There is no force of gravitation on it. Thank you, students. That's all.